Antarctic sea ice melt kills emperor penguin chicks. At least 5 people dead after storms rip through Michigan. Prigozhin plane debris points to sabotage. China had almost 2 million excess deaths after the end of zero COVID, U.S. study finds. India's Modi and China's Karzai agree on efforts to de-escalate border tensions. Rare cases of mosquito and tick-borne diseases, including powassan and dengue, crop up across the U.S. Antarctic sea ice melt kills emperor penguin chicks. The pristine and remote landscapes of Antarctica have been sending us distress signals, underscoring the alarming impact of climate change on its ecosystems. In a heart-wrenching development, a significant region of this icy continent has borne witness to a catastrophic breeding failure among emperor penguin colonies. A devastating blow, as not a single chick managed to survive. The once thriving colonies, known for their resilience against the harshest conditions, are facing an unprecedented challenge due to the dramatic reduction in sea ice extent. As the sea ice continues to shrink at an alarming rate, it disrupts the intricate balance these penguins depend on for their survival. The loss of crucial breeding habitats and access to food sources has left these remarkable creatures in dire straits. This heartbreaking event is yet another reminder of the urgent need to address climate change on a global scale. At least 5 people died and hundreds of thousands were left without power when a tornado and severe thunderstorms ripped through Michigan on Thursday night, causing downing of trees, damage to homes, and traffic disruption, officials said on Friday. The tornado crossed the Interstate 96 highway to the southeast of Lansing while flipping cars, with 1 person dying and 3 being left wounded along I-96, the Ingham County Emergency Management said. Another person passed away when a tree fell on a home in Lansing, the state capital, emergency officials added. We have been working with local authorities throughout the night to monitor damage from the recent severe weather, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer said in an online post on X, formerly called Twitter. Prigozhin plane debris points to sabotage. The severed wing from Yevgeny Prigozhin's private jet was apparently found miles away from the crash site Friday. Evidence, according to aviation experts, to support a growing consensus that the Russian mercenary leader was killed after his plane was sabotaged and tumbled out of the sky in pieces. The aircraft clearly came apart in flight following some sort of catastrophic event at altitude, said Jeff Gazzetti, an aviation expert. It literally fell to the ground like a Coke bottle, totally out of control and missing wing parts. New jets like this don't come apart like this unless something bad happened. 2 American officials said that intelligence points to sabotage being the most likely cause, one of them adding that a leading theory is the plane was downed by an explosive on board, although information is still too scant to confirm that. Putin's spokesman decried as absolute lies the speculation that the Russian leader had ordered a hit on Prigozhin and urged the world to wait for forensic tests and more facts to emerge. China had almost 2 million excess deaths after the end of zero COVID, U.S. study finds. There were almost 2 million excess deaths in the 2 months after China lifted its zero COVID restrictions, a U.S. study found, contradicting official figures from Beijing that have been criticized as too low. China's strict zero COVID policies, which included mass testing, border closures, and extended citywide lockdowns, kept COVID cases and deaths to a minimum for much of the pandemic. But when the government abruptly lifted the restrictions in December after rare mass protests across the country, the virus was unleashed on 1.4 billion people who had barely been exposed to it. The resulting wave of cases, driven by the highly transmissible Omicron variant, wrought a huge increase in hospitalizations and deaths that experts say were underreported by officials. They pointed to anecdotal evidence, as well as satellite imagery showing heightened activity at crematoriums and funeral homes. India's Modi and China's Karzai agree on efforts to de-escalate border tensions. India's Prime Minister and China's leader agreed Thursday to intensify efforts to de-escalate tensions at the disputed border between them and bring home thousands of their troops deployed there, according to an official from India's foreign ministry. The disputed boundary has led to a 3-year standoff between tens of thousands of Indian and Chinese soldiers in the Ladakh area. A clash 3 years ago in the region killed 20 Indian soldiers and 4 Chinese. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping met on the sidelines of a Johannesburg summit where the BRICS bloc of developing economies. India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Quatra told Indian reporters that Modi, in an impromptu meeting with Xi, highlighted India's concerns about their unresolved border issues. Rare cases of mosquito and tick-borne diseases, including Powassan and dengue, crop up across the U.S. As the end of summer approaches, cases of rare insect-borne diseases are cropping up weekly across the country, including eastern equine encephalitis, dengue fever, and West Nile virus, all spread by mosquitoes, and the tick-borne Powassan virus. This week, Alabama reported 2 cases of eastern equine encephalitis, including 1 death. The rare disease has a 30% fatality rate, and many survivors have lasting neurological issues. In Connecticut, meanwhile, 4 residents tested positive for Powassan virus, the first infections in the state this year. The U.S. also recorded its first cases of locally transmitted malaria in 2 decades this summer, 7 in Florida and 1 each in Maryland and Texas. Stay informed with our updates. Subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video.